Alright, so we're gonna, it's always we. Anyway, I'm gonna show you how to make banana bread. Pretty simple. Let's get on with it. You don't need to see my ugly face in there, obviously. So now what we'll do, we'll lower it down. Okay. And then we'll say, hey, you know what? We'll edit all that out, but you know we're not going to do that. See if I can zoom in here for you. Okay. Well, I really don't like the way that looks. I should have paused it. Okay. You want to start off with 3 overly ripe bananas or very ripe bananas, you know, to where they're soft, mushy. Alrighty then. Smash them with a fork, whatever you want to do. And I might as well get my pretty face in there. Anyway, so you can just smash them with a fork, put them in the mixer, use your beater bar or whatever to beat it. So anyway, you have your 3 bananas. You're going to mush those all up. Alright, then you're going to add a cup of sugar. You can use baker's sugar, regular sugar, whatever kind of sugar you want. Meanwhile, crank your oven up to 400 degrees. You want it nice and toasty. 400 degrees is toasty. So anyway, a stick of butter, okay? This is just a half a stick. But I have the other half right here. So now I happen to use Land O'Lakes, but here's something people here. Here's a little insignificant fact that people don't know. If you've ever noticed, when you're using real butter, the butter has different colors throughout the year. The reason being is dependent on where they get the milk from to make the butter. Whether they're grain fed, whether they're fed out in the green fields, the type of grain they're being fed. So anyway, all that affects the color. So if you wonder why sometimes the color of your butter is different, it's because of what they're eating. Okay. You want a teaspoon of baking soda. All right, let me wash my hand real quick. You want a teaspoon of baking soda. Got butter all over it. You know, I should have my apron on. So anyway, you have your 3 bananas, your sugar, put in 2 eggs, all right? Okay, you have your 2 eggs in there. Okay, now you're smoking it. Then you want a teaspoon of baking soda. Doesn't matter what brand. Any brand works. Then you want to add about a half a teaspoon of salt. I don't really measure. You just kind of, there you go. Then I put all those ingredients in, then I'll mix all the wet ingredients, including the sugar, which technically is dampened milk. Then I'll start adding my flour. So we have the butter in there, we have the sugar in there, we have the eggs in there. And you're going to need a 1/3 cup of milk. Alrighty. Sorry. 1/4 cup. Real live TV, right? Something ain't TV and it ain't live. So anyway, throw that in there real quick. Okay, now you're all set with that. You got your milk in there. I didn't put my vanilla in yet. You want to add a teaspoon of vanilla also. So I'll grab that. So you want to add a teaspoon of vanilla. I happen to use Tahitian vanilla. Tahiti, where the girls don't wear no tops. I always have to say that. Some Sanford and Son. But anyway, real Tahitian vanilla is hard to find. It's a really top quality. You can find manufacturers make it, but they use vanilla beans, seeds that they grow that originally came from Madagascar, from Tahiti, but they use them they grow them elsewhere, is what I was trying to say. And the reason Tahitian vanilla is so good is because of the condition it grows under. So these people that take the seeds of the plants from there and they put them in other areas and they grow them, it's not going to be the same tasting aromatic vanilla, simply because they grew it in a different place. Okay? So, take a look and see how this is doing. Zoom down on it for you. Now, when you add your, there you go, you can kind of see that. Okay, so we have all our wet ingredients. We have a stick of butter, a cup of sugar, we have 2 eggs, we have a 1/4 cup milk, teaspoon vanilla, our teaspoon baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon salt. And then you want to add roughly a 1.5 to 2 cups of flour. Now I use bread flour rather than regular flour, and what bread flour does, bread flour has more gluten in it. Okay. Now the reason why I say from 1.5 to 2 cups of flour, anyway, bread flour has more gluten in it, so that makes the dough more chewy, is actually what it does. I use King Arthur's because it's it's not bleached, bromated, dyed, or anything else. Their flour is basically natural flour that I bought, and you can clearly see that's too watery. But anyway, the reason I say between 1.5 and 2 cups, okay, that's more than enough. Should be good. The reason I say 1.5 to 2 cups is because if your bananas are larger bananas, it's going to add more moisture to the batter, so you got to adjust your flour. Small bananas, less flour. Let's say you want to use 2 bananas instead of 3 bananas, or 2 large bananas, so you can see how it all gets weird. But you want it, you don't want it real thin. So that's pretty close there. So what we're going to do is we'll scrape the sides. I'll use a small spatula rather than the big one. Yeah? Somebody wants some attention. Now that looks pretty good there. I think I added 2 pounds of, or rather 2 cups of anyway. Alright, so we'll pause it. Then what I'll do is now what I do is I use a glass. You can see the thickness is about good. So what I do is I use glass loaf pans. I also have metal ones. I like glass. Just remember, the darker the pan, the more it's going to absorb heat, so you have to really pay attention to how long it's in the oven, because it could take 50 minutes, it could take an hour, it could take 45 minutes. So I place it about the middle of the oven. This is clear, so it's a clearer glass, it can handle more heat. If I was using the dark blue one, I would put it more towards the top of the oven. So keep that in mind. And then I also spray the plan. I just happen to use this one here. Any particular brand would work. The reason I use this one is because they use it on Hell's Kitchen. Believe it or not. And the way I look at it, you know what? If it's good enough for Hell's Kitchen, it's good enough for this home guy here. So anyway, I'll pour it in the pan, the loaf pan, and show my arm. Anyway, I'll pour it in a loaf pan. I'll bake it for basically about 45 to 50 minutes, and then I'll check it to see how it's doing, and then adjust the cooking time. Basically, you can do the same way you would do a cake. A lot of people use toothpicks. They stab it in the middle, then they pull it out, and if it's still gooey, they know it's not done. That's an easy way of doing it. You can do it by touch. I'm pretty good to where I can touch the top of a loaf or biscuits or breads or whatever, cake, and I can tell whether it's done. Not that I'm bragging, you know, I'm no big deal. So anyway, I'll get a shot of it when I pull it out of the oven. Okay, almost got two done. It is a little bit too done. Some of these edges here are very dark. That's what happens when you go out to the garage and you get involved doing other things, because you know you have 50 minutes and you're outside. I was doing stuff anyway. So yeah, it actually did cook. I'm gonna go with 10 minutes too long, 12 minutes. But anyway, it'll still be really good inside. So you could also put nuts in it if you want. I would start out with a couple of cups, you know, break them apart. Then go from there. It's more to your taste as far as how many nuts, if you want to use nuts in it. Thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe, it'll be in the bottom right hand corner.